Congratulations, Ichiro. Just from one thing, you're bringing the sake because that's what the rookies have to do. You're now a rookie for the first time in 25 years.
George, thank you very
Yeah.
much.
And good evening, everyone. This is the Rooftop Sports. Welcome to a weekly Mariners talk. Usually I would have either Steve or Jay Trident or anybody else, but unfortunately they could not make it, so decided to just do a show myself and update you, Mariner fans, on what in the world is going on in this very slow offseason that still continues, perpetuated by the Seattle Mariners and the likes of Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso. Now, before I get started in anything, here is a quick message from SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a mobile ticketing app for sporting events, concerts, and other events. They make the buying experience easier by the app ranking each ticket from 0 to 10 to see if you are getting a good deal, and you can see exactly where you are sitting. I regularly use that app, and I have had nothing but a fantastic experience with SeatGeek. Use my promo code RoofTopSports to get $20 off of your first purchase. Link to the code, app, and website will be in the description, so take advantage, and thank you. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for using that SeatGeek promo code RoofTopSports. Hopefully that you're using it to save money. Save $20 for the spring training that is coming up in not so long. So take advantage of that. Now here we go. So the first thing that we've just got to get it out of the way is beloved All-Star, Mariners superstar and legend, Ichiro Suzuki has been inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. He got nearly the unanimous vote, but unfortunately, one person did not vote for him. And you know what? It was me, because I'm still butthurt with the fact that Ichiro said that Korea smells like garlic. And yes, I'm Korean. Look at that Korean flag of mine. So, yep. As much as I'm Korean and I have that petty rivalry with Japan and their baseball, still gotta give hats off to Ichiro for the congratulations. So yeah, I'm the one idiot that didn't vote for him. So if you want to find something to criticize, or if you want to give me a lot of crap for doing it, if you really want to believe it, put it in the comments. And yeah, I still feel the pain from that 2009 World Baseball Classic, which it really does hurt to this day. His 2-run RBI single to defeat Korea in the 2009 World Baseball Classic Championship. Still hurts this day. But anyways, congratulations, Ichiro, on that huge accomplishment of winning the Baseball Hall of Fame, which not many people get, and you 100% deserve it, and you definitely deserve the unanimous Hall of Fame. Now, to reflect on Ichiro's career, the guy can really put the ball in play. He had 3,089 hits, and I believe I do have the bobblehead with me. Let me show you that one. Yep, I still have the Ichiro bobblehead. Unfortunately, I didn't take good care of it. I lost his bat, unfortunately, but look at his hit counter, what I've got. Let me put the hit counter in Major League Baseball. But this bobblehead was really cool. I really like that they put the hit counter on this one. So there it is. 3,089 Major League hits. And that is Ichiro, the great Ichiro Suzuki. So once again, congratulations. And other things to remember, he stole bases. His arm throwing strength of like second to none. Like he really had that rocket of an arm, just like Jay Buhner did when he was with the Mariners throughout the 90s, playing alongside Ken Griffey Jr. And just imagine if Ken Griffey Jr., Jay Buhner, and Ichiro all played in the outfield together for the Seattle Mariners, which it kind of could have happened, but unfortunately, at the time, the NPB had this strict policy where you had to play Japan. You had to play in Japan for a very extensive amount of time, especially if you're a homegrown Japanese-born. And let me check if that policy still stands. Do you have to play in NPB for 9 years before the majors? Let me see what it is. Yes, Japanese. It looks like it still stands that Japanese still must, but however, they can request to be posted for MLB clubs before they've accumulated. So I guess just like Shohei Ohtani, he was like around his 20s when he played for the Angels or joined the Angels, because I guess Major League Baseball played a huge amount of posting fees. So maybe if the Mariners had posted those kind of fees for Ichiro Suzuki and negotiated, then maybe there could have been a chance that Prime Griffey, Prime Jay Buhner, and Prime Ichiro could have been on the same team. And what an outfield core that would have been. You could have added another like 10 to 15 home runs, especially in the Kingdome. What could have been? But anyways, I think that's all I've really got to say about Ichiro, that he is an accomplished superstar. He's a Hall of Famer, and there's going to be a ceremony for him around August. And if John Stanton is speaking, all you Mariner fans, boo him. Boo the living life out of him, at least until Ichiro speaks. And also just wanted to point out that I made a video on Ichiro, a pretty long 30-minute video on reflecting his entire career of Ichiro Suzuki. So check that out. Oh, let me use that. Yeah, check that out on this thumbnail right there. Check out that video, and you'll get to see the accomplishments of Ichiro Suzuki, going from his career from birth all the way to 2019 as a Major League Baseball player. So go ahead and check that out, and also subscribe to this channel and comment on how you feel about Ichiro Suzuki as a superstar for the Seattle Mariners. And now let's get into the next topic. We're talking about Felix Hernandez, where he got 20% of the vote on his very first year of the ballot. And let me see where Edgar Martinez was in his ballot. So Edgar Martinez also, he took 10 years to become a Hall of Famer. Yeah, he did it on his final year, and here's what it was. In 2010, he had 36.2% of the vote. 2011 was 32.9, then 36.5, 35, and then it was around 25. He actually dropped in numbers, but then finally in 2019, he finally earned the Hall of Fame, which he very much deserved. And crazy to think that it really took a decade. So, and the thing is, I do have that fear that Felix Hernandez, I think he might actually struggle to be in the Hall of Fame. No, it was actually 85% for the Edgar Martinez, but Felix Hernandez, I think he might struggle to even reach Hall of Fame. But he's had pretty impressive numbers throughout his career. It's just that it was his second half of his career that really killed it. He had a 3.42 ERA, and his innings pitched, he pitched quite a bit, but his win-loss percentages were not great at all. And from the years of 2005 all the way up to 2014, his ERA was at 3.07. And then, unfortunately, in his very last parts of baseball, let's take a look from 2016 to 2019, his ERA ballooned to a staggering 4.89. Like, he was arguably one of the worst pitchers in baseball, and that's when he hit 30. And usually when you're 30 and you're a pitcher, you shouldn't be that bad. But man, look at his seasons. 2016, 11-8 with a 3.82. 2017, 4.36. Then 2018, he was just completely lost to the point that he lost his starting job, 5.55. And then 6.40 ERA in his final season of 2019, where he was arguably the worst pitcher in Major League Baseball. So I think it's going to be tough to see him even get that kind of accomplishment. But I do think that he does deserve it. Like, there were years where he really did carry the team. Like, look at 2010. He posted a 7.2 win above replacement with a 2.27 ERA, 13-12. He had, how many strikeouts? 232 strikeouts. Like, he was one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in baseball. And he actually got the Hall of Fame. Not the Hall of Fame, I'm sorry. The Cy Young Award. In 2014, he arguably should have got that as well with a 2.14 ERA, but I think what killed his chances was when he had that meltdown game against the Toronto Blue Jays in 2014, which was a very critical game, and had the Mariners won that game, they could have made the playoffs over the Oakland A's. So that's my thoughts on Felix. I don't know if he's going to make any kind of more significant progress. We'll have to see in the coming years, but hopefully it will not take until year 10, and hopefully he will still be Hall of Fame eligible anyway. Now, the next part of the show is we're going to go over the baseball prospects of the Seattle Mariners, and they have, how many players they got in their top 100? They have My goodness, they have 7 of the top 100 prospects, and I'm going to go over all of them. They are the names of Colt Emerson at 16, Cole Young at 56, Johnny Farmelo 70, Michael Arroyo 77, Felnine Celestine 89, Harry Ford 95, and Lazaro Montez at 97. And this is on top of the fact that the Mariners had just signed a new prospect in Yorger Batista, who is supposed to be a 5-tool Major League Baseball player potential and can play outfield very effectively, has really good speed, so maybe he could be a good teammate for Julio Rodriguez, but come on, that's like years from now. But ideally, it would be cool to see Yorger Batista, Julio Rodriguez, and Lazaro Montez. That would be quite an outfield core to deal with. Now let's go over all of the top 100 prospects. First is Colt Emerson. He was drafted in the first round by the Seattle Mariners, and we're going to go over his stats. Colt Emerson stats. And let's see how he did. So overall in his 3, he had quite a bit of time. And this is also the fall league when you combine that. In 2024 season, he had 4 home runs, 37 RBIs, 15 strikeouts, or 15 stolen bases, and he played in 70 games with a 263 average and a 393 OBP. His best numbers came in Modesto, where he was a 2 home run hitter in 40 games, 293 with a 440, but then in Everett, he did struggle a little bit, where he only got 2 home runs, batted 225, and a 331 OBP. So, I mean, I wouldn't expect Colt Emerson to get the call-up for Major League Baseball for this season, but maybe for next season if everything goes right. And I would be very excited to see how he does for the spring training ball. So let's see how it goes from there. And maybe if there is a Colt Emerson baseball savant page. Let's take a look at that. Now, there is a baseball savant and doesn't really say how good he really is. Unfortunately, nope, they don't got anything on the baseball savant for Colt Emerson, unfortunately speaking. So yeah, that's Colt Emerson. He's at 16. And if I'm going to give a prediction, I think he will be as early as 2026. Let's take a look and see where the Mariners' top 30 prospects are going to be. Colt Emerson is expected a 2026 estimated time of arrival. So yep, definitely expect him for that. He's a great shortstop. I got to watch him more to see how he does, and maybe I'll have a chance to watch him, as I do plan to go to Arizona in March. And other things I plan to do for that is possibly do a podcast in that stadium of Peoria. Now the next one, number 56, is Cole Young. He is a shortstop. He has been quite a standout star throughout minor league baseball. And let's see where his numbers are lying at, because I remember last season he was mostly with Modesto. He was with Modesto and trying to find where he is. Modesto and Everett. And then he got promoted to Double-A eventually. He ended his season in 2023 as an Everett Aqua Sox. Here's his 2023 season. He batted 277 with a 399 OBP. He walks a lot with 90 strikeouts, unfortunately, but made it up with 88 walks, 22 stolen bases, 11 home runs. So he does have a little bit more power than I would expect than Colt Emerson. But these are supposed to be the speed guys. Now for 2024 overall, how did he do? In Arkansas, which he mostly played at, he batted 271 with a 369 OBP, 9 home runs and 57 RBIs, and there is a hype of possibility that maybe he can get a major league start on opening day. But I think realistically, I don't think he'll get a major league start, honestly, until like June, unless he really steps up in spring training and pulls a Julio, basically. And I think that's the only way he would get a major league start, which is part of the reason why I believe the Mariners aren't going for any more prominent free agents like possibly Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso. Maybe they're just holding out the fact that maybe Cole Young and the likes of Ty Locklear is all they need, which I disagree. I think they should still go for those kind of guys, which I will talk about later. But I do think, yeah, Cole Young, I think he is an expected 2025, which it is expected. Even in the website, it admits that he is expected 2025. So how to describe him? He's got really good speed. He's got good defense, and he mostly plays second base and shortstop. He's never played third base, so I think if he is to be called up, he would probably be a second base. Maybe move J.P. Crawford to third base because Mariners definitely need that third baseman, which they unfortunately do not have. And now the third prospect is going to be Johnny Farmelo. Now, Johnny Farmelo, he was off to a really good start, and I really did enjoy watching his games. Like, he has good power. In 46 games, he hit 4 home runs, batted .264, the 398 OBP, also has speed, has potential to be at least maybe a 4 to a 5-tool player. Let's see what they said about Johnny Farmelo, as he is one of the more exciting prospects. I don't think it says that he is a 5-tool, but he does look like one. When I did see him play, he looked pretty good, and he was off to a solid start in the 2024 season, but he tore his ACL in June, ending his season, which is why I believe exactly why his numbers did drop. Like, I think last year he was definitely more up there in the ranks. I don't even think he was ranked, but it's good to see that he is ranked. Let me double check and see where he was as a prospect, if he was in the top 30. Let's go to top 30, and let's see where Johnny Farmelo was at. And Johnny Farmelo as a prospect, I don't even think he was, can't even find his name because they probably didn't even rank him when he was drafted. So anyways, yeah, Johnny Farmelo, he's got the speed, he's got some power, but unfortunately the man just couldn't stay healthy. And I'm just concerned of what that ACL injury could really do to him. But let's take a look and see what his attributes really were as I go into 2025. And this thing is really slow, by the way. Thank you for bearing with me. Kind of helps, doesn't really help when I'm not really given much content. Now, for Johnny Farmelo, I'll just read it verbatim. A hugely welcome addition to the Mariners system thanks to the pick awarded as a result of Julio Rodriguez's Rookie of the Year award. Farmelo blossomed on the draft radar thanks to his events such as the Major League Baseball PDP League in the East Coast. He signed at $3.2 million. Yeah, he's pretty much almost set for life, I guess, to a certain extent. Before the injury, he was definitely drawing the attention, not reading it verbatim anymore. His hitting profile is still very raw, with swings that looks to be comparable to a pickleball serve, and at times can be rigid and limit from making adjustments. There are plenty of paths the Mariners can take to hone on him, as he has good bat speed and he has a 20 home run potential. So that's Johnny Farmelo. Hopefully he comes back healthy, and if he's starting, he's probably going to start in Modesto again. And if he does remain healthy, maybe he'll play in Everett Ball, and I do think he is one of the prospects to check out. Now we're looking at Michael Arroyo, who is at 77, and I actually did witness a Michael Arroyo home run. The only funny part of it was I slipped and fell. So, yeah, that was pretty embarrassing, and here is the clip of me watching Michael Arroyo's home run.
Changes unannounced by the Spokane Indians. 1-0 pitch, swinging a high fly ball right field, deep, down the line, into the corner. It is gone!
I was the idiot that slipped and fell. Yeah, I hope you got the funny out of that. I really just ran in rather than just taking a step back. Yeah, I really did break the laws of outfield fielding. But here's how he did in Everett, or actually, shall I say Modesto. Now, Michael Arroyo looks like he's a guy of power. In 2024 season, he had 23 home runs, batted .285, a 400 OBP. He does strike out a lot, but he does make it up with the walks. In Everett, or actually, I say Modesto, where he started, 11 home runs with 49 RBIs, 279 with a 404, and in Everett, he did even better with 12 home runs, 40 RBIs. So he is one of the top 100 prospects for sure. He is the 12th best in the Mariners as of last season. He's a man from Colombia. He's known for, of course, power. I know I've already said that. Though Arroyo can hold on his own with his arm strength and hands to play shortstop, his profile might be better suited at third or second base, so maybe a third baseman of the future. There will be more pressure on the range as he keeps moving, and he wants to hold on to shortstop, particularly among a crowded group in that position, I guess, but J.P. Crawford isn't going to really make that any more crowded. So his comparison has been to Howie Kendrick. Now, to see his ETA is going to be 2026. So, yeah, he's starting in Double-A probably next season. Probably will play Double-A, or A+, I meant. But we'll probably get into Double-A as the season goes. And then 2026 is when things could be interesting. Maybe that's why the Mariners aren't spending, because they're banking on all these prospects. And now the next prospect to go over is going to be Felnin Celestine. Now, Felnin Celestine is a prospect that I really, really liked. I thought he was going to be one of the better prospects. Like, Felnin Celestine was just an amazing athlete that I saw. Like, he was probably one of the best prospects I had ever seen. But unfortunately, he suffered an injury, and I'm looking for his numbers for Felnin Celestine. I don't even think doesn't even look like he has even played for the Dominican Republic League. Just looking, man, I gotta look up Felnin Celestine's numbers if I can even find it to begin with. I believe he played in Arizona. I know I'm just being a little bit unprepared, but I'm just shooting through the hips at this point. Felnin Celestine. Here's his stats. He's a really young kid. He still hasn't even cracked 20 years old yet. He's still 19 years old, but he spent all this time in Arizona. In 32 games, he was on fire. 352, 431 OBP. His strikeouts to walks were almost on par. 3 home runs with 27 RBIs. But unfortunately, he was injured, so that did not really help him at all. Hopefully, he can be healthy, but I think he's going to start in the ACL league. And then after that, maybe he'll finally get to Modesto, and I'll maybe cover some actual games for him. But yeah, here's what it was. So he signed for $4.7 million as a number 2 prospect in the MLB pipeline. A huge factor in the hype was he was related to his performances in Colombia and the United States, along with grander tournaments in the Dominican Republic against older competition. In 2023, he underwent season-ending surgery in late July to repair his left hamate that hampered him throughout the summer. And in 2024, he unfortunately suffered another unfortunate injury, but I do see him as like a 5-tool player. So there's going to be quite a bit of congestion on that shortstop. And I know that J.P. Crawford makes it seem like it's not congested, but you got Colt Emerson, Cole Young, and Felnin Celestine, and might as well just throw in Michael Arroyo. So that's not really much to say about Felnin Celestine. And now we've got Harry Ford, the catcher for the Mariners farm system. And let's take a look at his numbers and see how he did. So Harry Ford, here's how he did. Excuse me. In the 2024 season, where he spent all of it in Double-A, 249, strikes out a lot, but he does walk with a good 377 OBP, 7 home runs and 45 RBIs, and he does have the speed, and he can steal bases, 35 stolen bases, and he was actually being experimented as a left fielder. He did have 3 errors, unfortunately, so that didn't really seem to work for him at all, as he is mostly a catcher and a designated hitter. But for someone that has speed, that's a huge plus. And for someone that's in Double-A, and let's see how old this man is, he is right now at 21 years old, so maybe he can get a start, and that means you could use him as a backup catcher or a DH. Maybe I'll add some depth, especially with the fact that the catching depth is also not being helped by Mitch Garver, as he has just been lost. He was completely lost last season. But with that strikeout problem, maybe he's going to stay for the entirety of maybe for the first 3 months. Maybe he could be a trade piece, who knows? But he could be a possible MLB ready for a tanking team. Then we got my favorite one, Lazaro Montez, and I know I've said it before. He is one of my favorite prospects. He plays for Everett Aqua Sox right now, and he's been pretty good, except in Everett, he did struggle heavily, unfortunately. In Modesto, he was on fire. He batted .309 with .411 OBP, 13 home runs, and 72 RBIs in just 65 games. This guy was on a tear. Then when he got to Everett, he struggled with a .260 batting average, .378 OBP, though. Does walk, but his strikeouts was quite a bit high. For 51 games, he strike out a lot. 8 home runs and 33 RBIs, so based on how he did, I don't really expect him to get the major league start, of course, immediately. I don't even expect him to get it at all this season. I think he's going to spend half the time in Everett and then maybe get promoted to Double-A. And then you'll see him hopefully next year. And what is his estimated ETA? 2026, they're saying. So I don't think he's going to be anywhere near ready for this season, but maybe next season, unless he pulls a Julio, which when you're going for A+, it's pretty rare to go from A+ all the way to Major League Baseball. And let's see if there's any prospects left. That is it. So now we're going to move on to the Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso situation. So Alex Bregman, there's actually been a rumor that the Houston Astros are actually going to be in possible recurring talks. So it looks like the Astros may be going in for him because no one's really been going for him. Kind of tough to go for a guy that he's in his 30s right now, gone into his 30s, and I know how it feels because I'm 32 years old, going to be 33, and that just really hurts. But I don't know. It looks like maybe the Astros will try to get him at a cheap price, but that's why I was hoping the Mariners should at least knock on the door. But of course, they're not doing it at all. And I really do think the Mariners should be going for the likes of Alex Bregman to help them fill that third base spot. But of course, they got the Scott Boras factor. Mariners are just damn cheap. And Jerry DiPoto's not willing to give any kind of a long-term contract. But this is where you really should be negotiating. See what you can do to try to get Alex Bregman. Don't just give up. Try to do something to make it work. But no, I just don't think they're going to do it. But I really think they really should give it a shot and to see if they can get Alex Bregman on this team. So that way the Astros don't get him. And because if the Astros get him, that might make them the actual favorite. Now, granted, their outfield may not be great because it's just Yordan Alvarez, honestly. I mean, let me check and see what's the depth chart for the Houston Astros. Let's look at their outfield depth because they did lose Kyle Tucker to a trade because they just traded him because they didn't want to pay for his contract anymore. As for the outfield, you got Mauricio Dubon, Taylor Trammell, which I don't think he'll really get a legitimate Major League start. Then you got Jake Myers, Chas McCormick. Let's see where we're at. We got Mauricio Dubon. How did he do in the regular season? Didn't really do much. And he's a 30-year-old guy, so he's pretty much a no. Taylor Trammell, can the Astros, rejuvenate his career? Who knows? You never know. Yordan Alvarez, what do you really expect? You got Zach Denzenzo. I can't even say his name. I apologize. Looks like he was one of the more younger guys. So it looks like the Astros are going to be more of just a kind of a young kind of team on their outfield. But their outfield doesn't have as much as the depth as the Seattle Mariners, but you never know. You just never know. But again, I really do think the Mariners should go for Alex Bregman because the last thing that you want to see, and the last thing I want to see, is the Houston Astros get him, and that will make the AL West competition much more difficult. And now for Pete Alonso, it looks like the Mariners are going to try to... It looks like the Toronto Blue Jays are trying to get Pete Alonso, and how that would help the Blue Jays, I guess are trying to just go all in and try to get some kind of a World Series championship out of it before they are unable to, extend the likes of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And don't forget Bo Bichette Jr. as well. Now let's double check and see where Bo Bichette's contract is. All right, Bo Bichette, which, by the way, he had an atrocious season. Last season, how in the world did he do? In 81 games, just 4 home runs, 31 RBIs, a 225 OBP, or 225 batting average, and a 277 OBP. He was an absolute trash last year. Actually, that could have been good for the Mariners. But he's going to be a free agent by 2026. He's due for $17 million. The thing is, he is struggling, but it looks like Blue Jays are going to try to go get him. And let me see if there's been any updates on Pete Alonso, which, by the way, a lot of Mariner fans really do want Pete Alonso because he was at one point one of the best first basemen in all of baseball. But the concern is that he's on his 30 side now, so who knows if anyone wants to actually throw in that kind of money for Pete Alonso. And nothing really has been materialized on the conversations, but unfortunately, either way, no matter how much they're waiting on the market and how much their value goes down, and especially if they're there for a long time in free agency, I don't think it's going to be enough to convince John Stanton and Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander to get any kind of a deal going, because the Mariners, they desperately need to spend the money. Like right now, all they're doing is just covering all of the arbitrations, all like their club control guys like George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Cal Raleigh, Randy Arozarena. Like all they really did was they negotiated to stay at a certain price. And it sounds like they are just trying to leverage the Mariners to try to spend a little bit more money so you can get those players like Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman. They could have gotten Gimez Sung when they had the chance, or Gavin Lux through a trade, but that never happened. And the thing I'm concerned about is, as the years go by, are the Mariners going to even make the extension offers for Cal Raleigh, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert? I don't think they are, because they're right now, none of them are even making more than $10 million. And then once they get to that point, they're going to start just cutting costs again and letting players go. So really, Mariners are severely running out of time. And if I were the Mariners, what I would do, maybe give like Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso, see if you can put like a little opt-out clause as a player opt-out option, and see if you can or a team option kind of contract at this point. I don't know. But the Mariners, again, they're just running out of time. They're not making the moves. They're not even trying to make any kind of a trade. And all they're doing is just saving money for all their club control guys. And if the Mariners keep this up, we're going to be in the same conversation where the Mariners wasted their 2001 core and they wasted their 90s core, and the history may repeat itself. But we'll have to see where Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso are at, because the consensus say it does seem that the Mariners are. It seems that they are trying to see where Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso go, and maybe the Mariners will make those fleeting moves. But that's all I've got. We talked about Ichiro, talked about Felix, talked about the Mariners prospects, and then Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso. Now, my very last thing I wanted to talk about is I'm planning to go to spring training baseball in March. Really do plan to go, just trying to figure out all the logistics. The other thing I'm trying to figure out is whether Jay Trident Podcast and I can get together for a show, especially within the Peoria Stadium or maybe outside of it. Not really sure, but I think this would be a cool idea to just do a show outside the stadium or in the stadium, like before the game, to do a show and maybe get some fans involved. But everything is just talk. So I guess I'll keep you guys updated on what is to go down for spring training baseball. I'm looking at March 15th as the possible day. So again, we'll keep you guys updated. But that's all for this show. Just wanted to say thank you very much for being on this show. Thank you for subscribing and hitting that like button, and comment on how you feel about the Mariners. Well, that's going to be it. This is Rooftop Sports, and everyone have a good day. And painfully saying, go Mariners.